I had an amazing experience recently that I want to share. Lani McGregor of Bullseye Glass asked me to do a glass portrait of her husband, Dan. And she wanted it to be a total surprise. He had no idea that she asked me to do it. So I sort of cautiously took on the commission and spent a couple months hemming and hawing and working it out. But ultimately I finished the piece and was happy with the way it turned out. Now, if you don't know Lani, if you've seen the documentary Holy Frit, then you'll probably remember this.
You already had the project, but you weren't sure how you were going to do it?
Right.
Wow, there's balls.
Yeah. Dan and Lani are the owners of Bullseye Glass. Dan founded the company in the 70s, and he and Lani have been running it since the 80s.
Bullseye developed glasses that could be fused together successfully in a kiln and would hold up over time. That's our single biggest accomplishment.
Along the way, not only do they make glass, but they collect glass art from glass artists. And I thought, since we're going up there to install this piece, what an amazing opportunity to go and see their glass collection and really get a sense of the stories behind these pieces and why they have this art in their collection. Welcome to the house of sand and fire. How's that? You like that?
That's good, that's good.
Can we call your house that?
Well, it's been called a lot of things.
Really? What is it? What do you normally call it?
Laboratory for living with glass is kind of
Laboratory
good.
for living?
That laboratory for living with glass.
Lavatory?
Laboratory.
Laboratory, okay, gotcha. Well, I think it's one of my favorite places in the world, and I've only been here a couple times. So the reason I'm actually here is to ask you to adopt me.
Still fit.
Now when I inherit the house, I'm going to move this up 1.5 inches.
Okay.
Just a little bit higher than it is now, because it's just not quite exactly perfect. But this is an amazing thing. Where does this come from?
Comes from an artist. Where they all come from.
Yeah.
Her name is Emily Endo, Jess Loughlin, Stephen Proctor, Jane Bruce, Richard Whiteley, Jeffrey Sarmiento, Joseph Harrington. This is Michael Endo, Kate Clements, Cobi Cockburn.
Is this Clayman, Daniel Clayman, Kari Minnick?
Narcissus, Clifford Rainey, Silvia Levenson, Rafael Cauduro, Jess Loughlin, Anna Skibska, Tom Prochaska. That's the Chihuly, Jun Kaneko. There's a lot of amazing young women working in glass, in kiln forming specifically. And this one, Jessica Loughlin, who is from South Australia, she perfectly matches her ideas and her methods. And her idea is all driven by the atmosphere. In this case, the salt lakes and the evaporation of the water. Her method for making this piece, putting powders down onto a clear glass and then spraying them, letting the water evaporate and drift up, and then firing it all into the sheet. That's Jess.
There's no illusion here. This is actual scientific light being warped and tweaked. I like the idea of incorporating these sort of optical concepts into my image making stuff. You know, so that's what inspires me about it. I will never do something like this, but it makes me want to push my work in that direction. This is called Titanic's Last Vision.
Oh God,
No?
Oh, it's called The White Place. It's by British artist Joseph Harrington. This is a method, I don't know any other person working in glass who does it. It's called lost ice casting. Joseph starts with a chunk of ice, and then he carves it into a rough form. After he's gotten to a certain point, he invests that in plaster. And what happens at the interface between the ice and the plaster is heat. The plaster heats up and the ice melts. It's a thing that I love about kiln forming is that you can just take it so far as the artist, and then the material does the rest. And it's your understanding how that material is going to behave that allows you to predict. You have experience with that.
I have, and I'm always walking that line too. Like I would say that he probably doesn't start this knowing exactly what it's going to look like.
It's close.
A general idea,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
In doing what we're doing with the image, it's you have something, that you want to do, but you don't want to be so tight with it that you don't allow the material to start to enter into the conversation and speak back to you and push you back. Don't fight the glass, you'll lose.
Good, good. The relationship between glass and science, the necessity that we wouldn't be here without glass. The scientific revolution wouldn't have been what it was without glass.
I mean, this whole room is such a cohesive thing.
The DNA of some of the best kiln glass in the world.
I still can't wrap my head around all of the different techniques that are happening with glass. I mean, are these dead birds glass too? No. Are they really?
You haven't noticed the dust?
Well, we'll talk about the dust later. I'll come back in here. I don't want to be too offensive. I try to offend in gradated steps.
Oh, that's good.
I start with the minor offenses. By the end of the day, you're going to be beating me out of here with a stick. So don't worry, I'm getting there. Well, this piece to me is wild because it's like it makes me a little squeamish to look at it because I'm afraid it's so delicate. Oh God, really? Wow. Maybe it's not so
I love
delicate.
the shadows are what
I could break that little piece off.
You could, and I could break your finger off too.
I could do that, and I'm not going to.
For me, it's tied to a very personal time when the factory was struggling to survive something that came to be known in Portland as the air scare. We were prevented from making a lot of glasses. To take my feelings about the color red that we weren't allowed to make and to ask an artist to make something over the mantle that was red. And Kate Clements came through with this beautiful, and to me, it's as much about the shadows, or even more about the shadows than the actual material. And that's the beauty of glass, is that it's not just what you get, it's what's on the other side of it, or what's reflecting back at it. So these pieces are made with glass threads, and that's what's happened with kiln forming. It started out as this cut pieces, and then it sort of splintered into all these factions, into these frits, stringers, flakes, and
Patties,
then
lace, blocks, sliders.
and then sliders.
Yeah.
I mean it's gone in every possible direction.
So that's the amazing thing about it. I want to talk about Ted because Ted is kind of the man when it comes to like what I've learned about glass and how he's given me such a technical backbone and support.
Ted came to us. He was a challenge. I had a technician in the research and education department, and he was so good. I said, don't you have a friend or something that's as good as you are? And he said, yeah, I know this guy, Ted Sawyer. He's amazing, but he's too good. He wouldn't work for you.
Wow.
So there was the challenge. So
was this piece meant to be seen with backlight?
It's meant to be seen however you want to see it.
Oh, hey, that's good. That's really good. I love Ted's exploration of surface. You know, that's something that obviously I'm interested in with my literal image stuff, but he's doing it in a formal way. It's very sophisticated. And again, this is another one that I have no clue how he made it. And just feels like the surface of the moon. You know, like this is like having one kid. This is like having two kids. That's like having three kids.
I never would have come to that. Never would have come to that. But you've got to have an idea of how he did it.
Oh, powder and water.
Good.
Right? Yeah.
Good. It's a theme.
Did I say I have no idea? Mm-hmm. That's a figure of speech, Lani. You have no idea how he did it. I know how he did it, but you have no idea. That's what I meant. This is another one of those pieces. Who cares how it was made, right? It's like, I mean, it's incredible. There's clearly something going on here.
There's a fabulous program that was started at the Museum of Modern Art. They found that when they questioned people after they had toured the museum collection, they retained almost nothing. They minimized their entire program to simply asking 3 questions of visitors. Look at a work of art, ask what do you see? What makes you say that? And what more do you see? And we've used it with kids, and it's brilliant what kids see when they're not told what to see, but when they're asked what they see. So since you're the biggest kid I know, what do you see?
I see that I don't know how the heck this was made. And my favorite kind of artwork is always, even the paintings that I love the most, Rembrandt's. So I like artwork that I don't know how it was made. So when I look at this, I just think, I can't believe it's glass. I could never in a million years figure out how to do it. And the light is like, it reminds me of like a sports car, a Porsche or something. I'm sorry, but I just got back from the airport and I was traveling, and when you go to the bathroom, there's the thing that you pull the seat protectors out of. That's the first thing that comes to mind, and maybe you could put that in the restroom.
I will beg Richard Whiteley to forgive you for that.
Hey.
It's about what's not there. Everything that you're responding to is not there.
Is that Kari Minnick?
Oh, but you're good. That is Kari Minnick.
But there's no paint on this at all. This is all glass.
It's glass.
That's pretty cool.
But one of the early ones to really be applying painterly methods to the material.
For sure.
I love it.
Depth,
That's
edges,
why it's here.
All that stuff. I do too. But I also love jokes. I actually love this piece in that spot.
Why?
Because it's got color, first of all. And I like that you work your way to color in this house. You know, you start in that kind of whitish room, and then as you come this way, you get the orange, and then bam, there's that blue. And that mystery man.
Yeah.
By? Who did it?
Narcissus.
Damn it,
Who is that man?
He's the greatest. He's the greatest of all time, in my opinion. The truth is that he is the only artistic mentor that I've really ever had. He unlocked for me what was possible in glass as a painter. What does this piece speak to you?
Just a sort of omnipresence. I mean, there's something about the man that even when he's not here,
larger
he's
than
here.
life.
There's a darkness, and there's a universality, and it's called Memory of a Winter Storm.
Oh, so it's more like snow than it is stars.
Can be whatever
you want it to be. Love that. I love that.
I'm sorry.
Honey, I'm home.
Honey, I'm home.
Honey, I'm home.
I got the lunch.
Okay. Oh, remember this guy?
Yep. Infamous.
Yeah. So this is the scene of the crime.
Oh my God. Does that stay?
Does it stay?
Yeah, well, I mean the equipment.
The equipment.
Yeah.
Well, you don't notice anything except the equipment?
Yeah, me. Oh my God. I didn't notice it actually.
I know you. I said you wouldn't notice it. And I was right. Do I know this guy or what? Is that amazing?
Yeah. Oh, it even looks. Oh, the eyes really come alive, don't they?
I use a lot of white. I've been really playing around with using the opaque glass because I was hoping that as the light changes, they kind of change. So I used a lot of white in the shadows and stuff. So I wanted to keep it clear because I think part of what I love about this view is that it's, you don't want to block it out completely.
You don't want to block the
Ted,
view with
like
Dan.
frickin' Sawyer did. Ted Sawyer and Narcissus. It's, we're going to block the view. I want you to look at my work. But me, no.
All right.
I want you to see through it. No, anyway.
Humble
it's
as
wonderful,
ever.
Tim.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you. Well, it's beyond an honor to be able to do anything for you guys.
Yeah, no, it's incredible.
Isn't it amazing?
You're lucky I got a lot of hair.
Yeah, you got great hair. That was the best part about it for me, was doing the
And
hair.
you even got the
little swoop,
in the back,
the
yeah.
double swoop, yeah.
I probably still wouldn't have noticed it if Lani hadn't pointed it to me, I mean, that's how.
That's what she assured me. I'm just happy to be in this collection. I mean, you guys, it's an honor for me. Even if you take it down after I leave, it's an incredible honor for me to be here.
I'm quite uplifted by it. I've never been a fan of showing myself off, so to speak. No, I love this concept that you've come up with, doing portraits with broken pieces of glass.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have figured that you could actually pull that off? It's almost antithetical to think,
Yeah.
but it works.
That's the Chihuly that used to be in the entry room, the dining room, minus the tallest spear, which in the last ice storm, the bamboo came down on top of it. Ice is another story. This is Jun Kaneko. It's called African Reflections. It showed in the Portland Japanese Gardens for a summer. Then we shipped it to Santa Fe, New Mexico, where it was actually in an earthquake, and it sat like this and it survived the earthquake. And then we shipped it back here to Portland and set it up in the garden.
Is that all sheet glass?
That's all sheet glass. You can see on the very back, you have a single sheet of an opal color and then layers of sheet glass.
Why don't I see any seams?
Because we're good.
Well, I don't see nothing, not even.
Like I
You're that
said, we're
good.
good. Is
this glass?
This is glass. It's all black glass. And it was part of an exhibition that we did with Clifford, who had a singularly horrific year. I just said, Clifford, get it out, do a whole show. And so he did an entire exhibition called In the Beginning Was Black. The wording of this piece is something that he learned apparently when he was in his 20s and walking from South Africa northwards, I believe, to Kenya. And he discovered how they trap monkeys. Did you put your hand in here the last time?
No.
Go ahead. And you are kind of a monkey too.
Should I do it?
Go ahead, put your hand in. Can you get your hand in there?
What if I can't get it out?
If you can get it in, you can get it out.
If I go all the way in, I'm not coming out. No, I can't do that.
Okay.
I can look in there. Can I shine my light in there? Oh, it's a dangling railroad tie.
If you try to pull your hand out while you're holding it, obviously you can't. That's how they supposedly.
Because
you know,
the monkeys
the
don't
monkeys
know to
will
let
not,
go.
The monkeys don't know to let go, and that's kind of the story. Let go. Silvia Levenson, this is a real favorite piece of mine. It's called E volata via, which in Italian means she flew away. And the story behind it is in the 1970s, the Videla regime had taken over and was disappearing people. And Silvia's earliest memories as a child were with her sister Bibi, and they would just get on their swings, they would leave their shoes on the ground, and they would swing and swing and swing and imagine just flying away, E volata via. And years later, when her family and friends were disappeared, that's sort of what it felt like. So with Silvia's work, there's always this joyousness of childhood and the blackness that accompanies it. But she's a survivor, as so many people in glass are. It's a material that's about survival. And she's got the best sense of humor. She takes it being funny seriously. She's really...
This piece reminds me of Baroque art, which was how I fell in love with painting. And to see it in glass in a way that was so full of depth and light and texture, I mean, you name it, everything that I love about painting is in a piece that's not a painting.
Rafael Cauduro was introduced to us by Narcissus Quagliata. He came to us and he said, I want to find the unbeauty in glass. The subject matter, the Tzompantli, those skulls out of the Toltec era, he came with plaster forms that he then carved to individualize. I think he started with about 4 forms and then laid them flat into an open-faced casting. Because he wanted a blackness, as you say, but he didn't want it to be a static color, he took 2 glasses that would react a copper blue, and a carbon sulfur amber. And if you mix those glasses, you get copper sulfide, which is a black coloration. So he has created this vegetal blackness by mixing two colors, which sort of adds to that roiling, boiling kind of feel to it. When they put this into the kiln, nobody realized that they had used that kiln to melt out some wax previously. Once you took that wax up to a temperature of a full casting, it started to fume, toxic fumes from the wax. Had to evacuate the factory. We let it go, let it cool down. And when they took it out, Rafael said, "Oh my God, look at that." And all this veiling, this white veiling, is a result of what happened because of that toxic firing that you would never repeat. And he, of course, said, "Let's do it again." So they created this veiling in a different way by taking those patties of clear glass and sandblasting them on two sides very finely so that they forced these minute air bubbles in there that would create this veiling. But that aspect of big failures that turn into magic things, I think, again, is so essential to the development of this method.
What is the white on the teeth?
The white, I mean, this is the plaster is still there.
Oh,
you could sort of feel. In fact, I could actually go in there and probably rub off some of that plaster because
I see.
they have it.
Same to you.
Yeah.
Is it stringers?
It is a combination of ribbons and stringers. One of our favorite scenarios is for artists coming to us and saying they have a problem. What can we do for it? And many years ago, I guess it was 1996, I guess, we were visited by an artist from Poland. Her name is Anna Skibska. And she said to me, "Would you like to visit my studio?" And I said, "I would love to, but I'm not going to Poland anytime soon." And she opened her purse. She pulled out a glass cutter and a tiny little butane lighter. And she looked around and she said, "Do you have any glass?" To which I said, "Yeah, I guess." And gave her a sheet of glass and she cut a strip and then proceeded to heat them up over this little Bunsen burner and kind of weave them together. And she was actually knitting glass in the air with this little burner. I asked her how she ever started on this process, and she said, as an art student, she had no money. When her neighbors' windows would break, they would give her the broken glass, and she would slice it up and heat it up and weave in the glass with it. And they were miraculous. They were just brilliant. I looked at the pictures. I couldn't imagine what she would need with us. She could get her studio into her purse and glass from broken windows. What did she need with us? And she said, "They're very, very weak. I need another material that will fit with it to make it stronger." So if you look at this very closely, you will see that it is actually woven ribbons of glass and small rods. They're thick stringers. And that's what we developed the original 2mm stringers for, was that artist.
Every one of your pieces is a story. And you
What
don't,
else is there?
But I mean, like, if you go to a museum and there's paintings on the wall, it's like, this is a painting of a person. I painted it. It was painted. Here's another painting of, a beautiful landscape that I painted with my paintbrushes, and I painted it. These pieces are all born out of some crazy story or struggle because of the material forces you to engage with it. I just think it's amazing to me. Going through all of these pieces, they're not just images, they're things that the material has necessitated a story, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to communicate about glass, why it's different, and why kiln forming is different. Mm-hmm. All different, except for they're all glass. I love that.
Well, actually, I'm just glancing over at this piece, which is one of the painters and printmakers from the Narcissus class that he did here in 1996. Tom Prochaska he's a brilliant artist to my mind. The art critic for the local paper, problem with glass he saw is that he said, you can't see the hand of the artist in it. Well, excuse me, that is fingerprints. And this guy got so absolutely entranced with what you could do with simply moving powder around with your hand, with the threads, and the expressions that he got. When Narcissus said, and tomorrow we're going to work with color, and Tom said, I'm not.
This is an incredible monument, temple to the art of glass.
It's an ongoing, it's a never-ending project.
I'm trying to imagine what it must have looked like 40 years ago here.
Yeah, it was pretty horrifying. It was a whole lot like what Bullseye looked like 40 years ago. You know, a bunch of little wood frame houses in a neighborhood called Garlic Gulch. Actually, Jim Jones said once, he came up here and he looked around and he said, that was a really wise investment. You bought the crappiest house in a good neighborhood. That's what we did. And if we'd had any sense, we would have knocked it off the hill. But we didn't think we could afford it. And Dan loves to putz, so we just started fixing it up. And
did you tell him what you wanted him to do? Did you say, I need you to go out there and we need a little more space down here? And then
it was the basis for a lot of arguments. Yeah, what I wanted and what he wanted, and bottom line, it came down to what he could do. And as an engineer, I dream and Dan makes it happen. There's nothing like a challenge that you share. Yeah. And this house has been a challenge, that factory has been a challenge. And the future will be a challenge, and it's going to make all of us stronger. You asked a while ago how we would describe the house.
Yeah.
And my favorite is still and always will be the laboratory for living with glass. Our Dan builds stuff, and then we see if it holds up, and we live with it. And if it lives for 20 years, then it works.
I would like to call it the shrine for the foundation of kiln-formed artists and the living place by which their work shall be seen and by which their careers shall be supported. How's that?
All those shalls make it sound rather biblical.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
I love this. This is good.
Prose.
This is good.
But I mean, like, you supported a lot of these artists were people who were figuring out kiln forming, who were trying to get careers going in a medium that nobody ever heard of, and who you met and either showed their work in the gallery at Bullseye, or you just loved their work and you wanted to support them and help them with their career, or you bartered with them. I mean, this collection is like a real, it's an honoring of the artists that you know and you have relationships with.
It's mutual. I mean, it's a conversation. They help us, we help them.
Yeah.
And that's the epitome of this entire field. People think about blowing as a team sport. Yeah. I really think about kiln forming as a team sport, because we're really exchanging, and sometimes we're exchanging failures, what didn't work. And you're seeing that with Vitreonics and with the classes that you're doing, and how this entire world, this community of people, you're giving them a hint as to how to do it, and then they're going in there, they're trying.
Yeah.
And they are supporting each other in their successes and their failures. And that's, right now in this world, that sense of community means more to me than anything. That it's not about competition, it's about cooperation.
Yeah. All right, there it is. What an amazing collection. I mean, it's one of the best I've ever seen, honestly. And I've never seen a glass collection like that. To see kiln form art, especially, have a rightful spot in an amazing collection was like no other experience I've had before. My work being in there, that's the cherry on the gravy. Does the cherry go on the gravy? It's the cherry on the gravy. Trust me, it's good, try it. No, but it's an honor. My piece in that collection, I don't know what to say. I'm not worthy, but thank you, Dan, thank you, Lani. Thank you, glass community. Let's all keep going, let's all keep pushing buttons and starting kilns and cutting glass and breaking glass and putting oil on glass and cutting fiber paper and breaking pieces off the fiber paper. Let's start doing things like throwing glass at people. Yeah, just